Hello. After the deadliest escalation in violence since last year's war in Gaza, a ceasefire between Israel and the Palestinian group Islamic Jihad has come into force. 44 Palestinians, including 15 children, have been killed since the fighting began on Friday, after Israel launched what it described as preemptive strikes on Gaza. It claimed it was only targeting members of Islamic Jihad, but Palestinian officials say at least one-third of the deaths have been civilians. 2 senior Islamic Jihad commanders have been killed in the strikes, including the group's leader in southern Gaza, Khaled Mansour. The group has retaliated with hundreds of rockets fired across the border, some reaching as far as Jerusalem. But Israel's army says 97% have been intercepted. All this while food and fuel has been running out for people living in Gaza. Most are only getting 4 to 8 hours of electricity a day, with crossing points into the Strip closed since Tuesday. Safad Al-Kalout has more from Gaza.
Well, we can say that the situation is relatively quiet. There were 2 launching rockets attempt by the Palestinian factions towards Israel, and there have been no Israeli response on these 2 attempts. Still, we could hear the Israeli drones flying over our heads, but there are no explosions in the last at least 15 to 20 minutes. So yes, relatively, in comparison with the last 3 days, we can say that the ceasefire came to effect. According to Islamic Jihad, the main point of dispute in the last 24 hours was the Egyptian guarantees. They were seeking guarantees from Egypt that it will work, Egypt, on the release of Islamic Jihad senior leader that was arrested in the West Bank, Bassam al-Saadi. So since they got these guarantees, Islamic Jihad accepted the ceasefire. There was another point which is also moving the Islamic Jihad, or the Palestinian prisoner who's on a hunger strike for more than 100 days, moving him to the hospital to receive the medical treatment. So these are the 2 disputed points that seems at the end they reached an agreement on that. So after solving this issue, Islamic Jihad said that it accepted the Egyptian proposal for the ceasefire.
Natasha Hornaim is following developments from West Jerusalem.
There have been sporadic reports of incoming rockets into Israel. The sirens were activated in the south just a short time ago, warning people to take shelter. But as far as Israel is concerned, this operation is over. It is saying that the military said a short time ago that it used helicopters, fighter jets, and armed drones were among the tools it used to target Islamic Jihad across the Gaza Strip. It has thanked Egypt for its role in mediating the ceasefire, but says if attacks continue into Israel, it will not hesitate to, quote, act forcefully, and says it will take whatever measures are necessary to ensure that the daily lives of Israelis will not be disrupted. Earlier this evening, the Prime Minister, Yair Lapid, went to the central military base in Tel Aviv to assess the situation. He had said earlier that the objectives of the so-called Operation Breaking Dawn had been fulfilled and that there was no need for the operation to continue. What were these objectives? From the Israeli strategic mindset, the objective was to neutralize Islamic Jihad, with most, if not all, of the senior leadership being killed, as well as the feeling that a kind of divide had been created between Islamic Jihad and Hamas, which governs Gaza, with Hamas remaining on the sidelines. There was a concern that if this operation was protracted and the death toll continued to rise, that perhaps Hamas might enter the fray. It appears for now that that has not happened.
Well, ceasefire